There we go. Good morning, everyone. I'm going to wait just another minute or two for some folks to hop on. I hope that you are having a really wonderful day so far, even though it's only 9 o'clock in the morning here on the East Coast. And I hope that you've grabbed your coffee. Today was a good coffee day. It's not cold here, but it's very windy. And it is also very hazy. It's overcast. And just a great day for a cup of coffee. Great morning for that. And I know I sound a little stuffy. Hey, Diane, how are ya? Nice to see you on again this morning on Fireside Chat. I know there's another person on here too. If you're on, give a wave, say hey in the comments or something, so I know you're here. I sound a little stuffy today. It's spring, and I do have really crazy allergies in the spring. My eyes get ooey gooey, and I get congestion, and I think I've had a slight sinus infection. And so forgive me if I end up sniffling, speaking with a stuffy head, and blowing my nose on occasion. It just goes with the weather. And I did forget to take my allergy medicine a few times last week, so that didn't help either. And I see there's 4 people on, so good morning. Thank you all for coming on. I was thinking this morning, actually, it doesn't take much for me to think about this, because in my bedroom, and my prayer chair is in my bedroom, and I face 2 really beautiful paintings that my grandmother did years ago. My grandmother passed away many years ago, but she was a professional artist. And hey, Joy, nice to see you this morning. Glad you could come on live. We're happy to see you. I'm happy to see you. And I was saying I have these 2, well, actually I have 3 really beautiful paintings of trees. Each painting is an individual tree, and they're just really beautiful. They're watercolor. They're very pretty. But I was sitting here this morning in my prayer time and thinking about the Fireside Chat and what I might share with you that has been on my heart this week. And I couldn't help but look at those trees and think of one of my favorite verses, which is Psalm 1:3. So Psalm 1 is talking about the man who is blessed. And in the description, gosh, I had this up already, and for some reason it disappeared. That's not very nice. But it's talking about the man who is blessed, the person who is blessed and doesn't walk in the counsel of the wicked, and delights in the Lord. And here's verse 3. I absolutely love this verse. Think about this. Even close your eyes for a moment as I read this, and think of yourself as being this tree. The blessed man, which is verse 1, is, in verse 3, like a tree planted by streams of water that yields its fruit in its season, and its leaf doesn't wither. In all he does, he prospers. I absolutely love the picture of the tree that is used in this psalm. Hi, Eve. Nice to see you this morning. Happy day to you too. Hey, nice to see you, Laura. I'm glad that you could hop on this morning. Nice to see you. Thank you. So I've been thinking about this tree in Psalm 1:3, which I think of this tree often, actually, because I really want to be like this tree. Okay. One, because I can't be that tree unless I'm blessed, and who doesn't want to be blessed? But also, I want to emulate what this tree represents. I want this to be my life. I want this tree to represent what my life is. When someone thinks of the life that I've lived, when I'm dead and people look back on my life, I want them to think of my life as being like this tree. I can't say at the moment that it is, but I hope that overall, one day, people will be able to say, that lady was like that tree. And the reason, and the thing that I love about the tree, besides being blessed, I heard a story one time about, it was from a woman who was describing her experience of being a mom whose son had died, and the sorrow and the grief and the turmoil that that season of her life caused. And she compared it to being in a rushing river, and that the rushing river kind of rushes you down the river with very little of your own control. You can barely keep above the water. You have trouble breathing. You have trouble just having any control, and having any control of being turned under the water yourself. And she says, and then you think of Jesus, and it is like coming up to a giant root that is floating in the water from a giant tree on the side of the water on the riverbank. And you grab that root and you hang on to it. And as you hang on to it, you have time to breathe. You have time to rest. You have time to refresh. You have time to get your breath back. You have time to regain your strength. And isn't it cool to think of Jesus as that tree that can't fall? I mean, it's so gigantic, it's so strong that you can hold the root of the tree and rest, even in raging, rushing water. And life is like that raging, rushing water, isn't it? And it's so easy to get swept up in the crazy wild of the raging water. It's so easy to get caught up in feeling the pressure of having to rush through everything in life, having to get everything done, having to be the superwoman. Where in the world did that come from? That we feel like we aren't the best of women if we're not like super women. You know what? I don't want to be a superwoman anymore. I don't know about y'all, but I don't want to be a superwoman in the way that I've felt that a superwoman would look like for me. That image is changing. And the reason is because I don't have to add to the rushing water. Life is already crazy. Life already has enough wild, crazy things going on that we can get caught up in without me having to add more craziness to it. And I have recently just been realizing that I do that. I've done that. And it's going to stop. It's going to stop, because I would rather be the one clinging to that root of the tree, that I can be in the midst of the raging water, but not swept away by it, that I can regain my strength because I'm rooted. I'm rooted, and I'm holding on to the root of the one who won't float away in that raging water. So Diane, oh, thank you, Diane. Yeah, she says, great analogy. Jesus is our root and our saving foundation. Absolutely. And I think that it's really cool having the image of the tree, because we can look out any window, and in almost any place you live, you'll see a tree. And the tree should be something that triggers our memory of the root, that we're rooted, that we stay rooted in Jesus, that we're meant to be like this tree. I mean, why would the psalm even have this description if this isn't something that wasn't possible for us? Did you ever think about that? When the scriptures give us a description of what we could live like, or what we could acquire or have, it wouldn't be there if it wasn't possible. It is possible for us to be like a tree that is planted by the streams of water, that yields fruit in its season, and whose leaf doesn't wither. I want to be a tree whose leaf doesn't wither. My face may wrinkle, but I don't want the fruit of my life to be wrinkled and shriveled up. I want it to continue to thrive. And who doesn't want to prosper? Not just financially, but to prosper in value, to add value to the world around you. And I love the picture of this tree that, unlike the seasons that shrivel up the leaves and the leaves turn brown and the leaves fall away, the tree that's the blessed person, that doesn't even happen to. And so, figuratively speaking, we don't burn out. We don't burn out if we're in the raging waters of this world, clinging to Jesus. That requires what that woman described, that we hold on. It gives us the time, it gives us the place and the space to stop. And I don't think that we do enough stopping. I don't think we do enough, take enough time, not just to rest, not just to have a chance to restore ourselves, which I think a lot of us don't do that, but that we restore our relationship with Jesus, not just our physical bodies, not just our brains, but that we rejuvenate, we restore that relationship with Jesus. Last week I was, just talking about being in love with Jesus all over again, almost like a newlywed. And I think of that, when I've been married, how you get busy with things in life and you want to take time to go on a date. And what do you do that for? Or you want to take time to turn the TV off at the end of the day, and you want to have time for conversation, or sit down and have a nice meal together where you have conversation afterwards. And why do we do that? We do that because it restores our relationship. It brings us together again. And Jesus wants us to do that with him. And we can't do that if we're still flailing around in raging waters. And we need to take the time to rest in him and to trust him as we cling to the roots. Good morning, Pam. Nice to see you. I could see you came on, and from where I'm sitting, I couldn't see what you said. I need new glasses, I think, as it's getting harder and harder for me to see from this distance to my computer. But it's nice that you're on this morning. Thank you so much. So, Pam, I've been talking about the tree that Psalm 1:3 describes, the tree that is planted by streams of water. And it's interesting too that this passage is talking about this tree was planted. Interesting, because the tree was intentionally planted. So you can look at that a couple of ways. One, Jesus was intentionally given to us as that root, as that support for us in the raging water, but also that we make the decision that the tree be planted in our life, so that we have that life support to hold on to in the raging water of life. And so I just want to encourage you this morning to think about the many different ways in which this passage in Psalm 1 and this description of the tree, which is the blessed man, and the time that we have when we grab a hold of Jesus and we can restore our breath and regain our strength and cling to him, even in raging waters, and what it does for our soul and our relationship with him. I have been just absolutely amazed in the last 2 weeks what at the way God has just been showing me my need to trust him by being still enough to allow him to rejuvenate me and to show me the way to where he wants my life to go. So in this analogy of this raging river, if I'm flailing around in the water, I can't see that maybe the river might be splitting and there's a better way to go that's safer. I won't see that. And I may get swept away in the path that's even more chaotic than the one I'm in. And unless we stop and spend that time restoring, resting, rejuvenating, catching our breath, and restoring our foundation and our relationship with Jesus, we won't even see that. And I love that. I love that analogy. I've had that image in my mind ever since I read that from this woman. So Pam, let me see what you've said here, that he wants us to grow just as the branches grow. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's another thing we can look at, the tree and the limbs, as embracing us, inviting us for that embrace. And there's so many beautiful things for us to see in this image of the tree, both us being a tree and us being seeing Jesus as the tree, that strong tower, if you will, that we can cling to, who's there for us. And the intentionality in this verse of the tree being planted, because it is a decision for us. We make the decision that the tree will be there in our life, in the raging waters, even in the raging waters. And in our heart, we plant that tree to be there as our support. And it saves us. It saves us from ourselves. It saves us from being swept away by the craziness and the chaos of this world. And it's a reflection of the blessings that God pours out on us. It's easy to forget sometimes the blessings that we have when we're trying to stay afloat in raging waters, isn't it? So that was my word for you this morning. That's been a super encouraging picture for me this morning, thinking about the tree in Psalm 1:3, and how Jesus is like that tree that we can cling to and survive the craziness of this world, to be restored and refreshed, and we do that. And in doing that, we also are given the chance to see the clear path for us. And I just love the picture. I want to hold on to that picture in my mind all this week. And I hope that you will too. And I'd love to hear from you throughout the week. If this image of the tree and how, if you spend time thinking and reflecting on that for you and what that can represent for you, just how that, just share that. I would love to hear from you and know how that is blessing and growing you in your own walk with Christ. Good morning, Miriam. Thank you. Good thoughts. He's our stability in a world of crazy. He's the only stability in this world. He's the only thing that will keep us afloat in the raging waters of this world. I can't imagine not having Jesus. I just can't. Can you? Can you even just think of what life would be like for us without him in these crazy times? The tree is a safe resting place for many birds and other animals, not just us. Yes, that's right. It is. And that's an example for us as well, I think. Just reminding us that, we see how God cares for the animals and how the birds of the air. I mean, even in Matthew, we have a complete description of that, right? That why do we worry? Because God does give us what we want or what we need. And I think that, I've seen this in grief ministry when people are angry that they've lost a loved one and they don't understand why God has done this in their life and taking away someone who's important in their life. And the truth is, I think sometimes we think backwards. We think we know what we need. And when God takes it away, of course, we're going to be angry because why would God take away this thing we needed? And yet, what God is saying is that he promises to give us what we need. And so if something is no longer in our life, if we trust that God's word is true, then we have to come to a place where we recognize that we didn't need that person in our life, that we can live, and actually we're in a new season to live without that thing that we think we need. And that is really it's a flip in the switch, I say, in the brain. And it's really important for us to have those flips in the switch because, we create belief systems inside based on our circumstances and draw conclusions from them. And God is trying to show us how to live just the opposite, that God's word becomes what we know is true. And everything else, we see it through that lens. It really changes the way we see things in life. It will change the way we see things in life and how we live our life. And it's how he continues to grow us in our faith and trust in him. And that is every single thing that happens in our life is always God calling us in closer, trusting relationship with him, in full surrender to him, trusting that what he has for us or doesn't have for us is exactly what we need to take us down the safer river, if you will, in this analogy of the raging river. So I hope that's an encouragement to you. And also, truly, if you reflect on this, I'd love to hear from you throughout the week. Can you keep this image in your head and think of how the many ways in which this strengthens your own walk of faith and encourages you, even transforms the way you think this week? I would love to hear that from you. So feel free to send me messages, even add more comments as the week goes on or later in the day to this, to the post on Facebook or wherever you're watching it, on YouTube or whatnot. I would love to hear from you. It's a great way for us to continue the conversation and to continue to encourage, inspire, and build one another up, right? In the Lord, which is what we're commanded to do. So I love you all. I thank you so much for being on this morning, for those of that you could come on live, and for those of you that are watching it on the replay. If you're watching this on the replay today or tomorrow, do put that on there that you were here and that you were able to just share with us and say hey. I hope you all have a great weekend, and God bless you all. Bye. Bye bye.